OpenAI's just pulled a massive move, one that really tells us everything we need to know about where they're headed. And no, it's not a new model or another research paper. It's a billion-dollar acquisition of a company called Statsig. So let's get right into what's really going on here, because this signals a huge shift in the AI world.
Yep, that's the number. Over $1 billion. And it's an all-stock deal. We're not talking pocket change here. This is a huge strategic investment. And it's for a company that, well, it might just surprise you. It's definitely not another AI research lab.
And that's exactly what makes this whole thing so interesting. I mean, on one hand, you've got OpenAI, right? The undisputed pioneers of fundamental AI research. And on the other, you have Statsig, a company that builds tools to help product teams test and roll out new features. It's kind of like a Nobel-winning physics lab buying a high-end power tool company. So the big question is, why on earth does a research giant need a product experimentation engine so badly they'd spend $1 billion on it?
To figure that out, we've got to break down the deal itself. We need to understand exactly what OpenAI is getting for that billion-dollar shopping spree.
So what exactly is Statsig? Well, think of it as a super sophisticated toolkit for building better products. It lets companies do things like A/B testing, trying out different versions of a feature to see what works best. And it lets them use what are called feature flags to safely roll out updates to just a small group of users at first. But here's the real kicker. OpenAI was already a customer, a happy one in fact. They were already using these very tools to make their own stuff better.
The terms of the deal are pretty simple on the surface. It's an all-stock transaction valued at around $1.1 billion. Statsig gets to keep its offices in Seattle and operate independently. But, and this is the huge part, every single one of their employees is becoming an OpenAI employee. And that talent, well, that's a massive part of the story.
That talent is absolutely key, because this move isn't just about buying some cool technology. No way. This is about buying leadership and completely reshaping the executive team to be laser-focused on one thing: shipping product.
And right at the center of this whole reorganization is this guy, Vijaye Raji. He's the founder and CEO of Statsig. And he's not just getting absorbed into the company. He's being handed the keys to a brand new, incredibly powerful role.
Raji is now the Chief Technology Officer of Applications. He'll report directly to Vijaye, who runs OpenAI's entire applications division. What this means is he's now responsible for the product engineering behind the crown jewels. We're talking ChatGPT and Codex. He's overseeing everything from the core systems all the way to safety and integrity. I mean, that is a massive vote of confidence.
And his appointment was part of a much bigger leadership shuffle. You can see here, the old head of ChatGPT engineering is now focused on business clients. The former chief product officer has pivoted into a research role. You see the pattern, right? The power, the resources, they're all being consolidated under the applications division, a division that's now supercharged with all of Statsig's talent and tech. Which brings us to the real heart of this whole story. This deal is about one thing and one thing only: transforming OpenAI from a world-class research lab into a world-class product company.
So let's ask that big question again. Why in the world would you spend over $1 billion on a company that helps you test button colors and feature rollouts when you're supposed to be building the future of artificial intelligence?
The answer really comes in three parts. First, they need to move way faster. By bringing Statsig in-house, they can test and improve products like ChatGPT at a speed that actually matches their insane pace of AI development. Second, safety. When you have hundreds of millions of people using your products, you need ridiculously tight control to roll out new features safely. Statsig gives them that. And third, this is about building a competitive moat. They can now create their own proprietary AI-native experimentation tools that literally no one else in the world will have.
So when you put it all together, the message is crystal clear. This is OpenAI growing up. It's evolving from a lab that discovers incredible things into a professional organization that ships robust, scalable products that are built on top of those discoveries.
And they need to become a product machine, because the scale of their ambition is just, well, it's off the charts. To really get it, we have to put this deal into the context of their absolutely explosive financial growth. So check this out. In just the first 7 months of this year, their revenue doubled. Right now, they're on a path for an annualized revenue of around $12 billion. But it doesn't stop there. Projections show them hitting $20 billion in revenue by the end of this year. The growth curve is basically a vertical line. It's astronomical.
And all of that growth is fueling this number. Their new valuation target for their next funding round is $500 billion, $500 billion. You just don't justify that kind of number by being a research lab. You have to be a product-shipping juggernaut.
Now, to put the size of this deal in perspective, it's one of their biggest ever. The $1.1 billion for Statsig is second only to their massive $6.5 billion deal for Jony Ive's hardware company, IO Products. So you see what they're doing? It's a 1-2 punch. They're making huge bets on the software experience with Statsig and on the future hardware that's going to run it all with IO Products.
And there's one more little strategic benefit worth pointing out here. By bringing the whole Statsig team on board, OpenAI is seriously deepening its engineering footprint in Seattle. They're planting a major flag in one of the most important tech hubs on the planet.
So, let's wrap this up. OpenAI has the groundbreaking research. They have the mind-bending amounts of money, and now, with Statsig, they've just bought the engine to become a true product powerhouse. Which leaves us with one final, fascinating question, maybe a $500 billion question. With all these pieces finally in place, what are they going to build next?